parents. Good evening. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and please remain standing for the invocation by Deacon Ken Carpinelli.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Dear wise and loving Father, first, let me say thank you. Thank you on behalf of all who are gathered here today. Thank you for your many and abundant blessings. Thank you for life itself, for the measure of health, and for your hand in guiding us. Lord, we thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work and for the honor of bearing appropriate responsibilities. Thank you as well for the freedom to embrace you or the freedom to reject you. Thank you for loving us, even so from your boundless and gracious nature. Lord, in the scriptures, you have said that citizens ought to respect the governing authorities, since you have established those very authorities to promote peace and order and justice. Therefore, I pray for our mayor, for our council, for all our first responders, and in particular, of course, for all of us present here. I'm asking that you would graciously grant them and us wisdom to govern amid the conflicting interests and issues of our times, a sense of the welfare and true needs of our people, a keen thirst for justice and rightness, confidence in what is good and fitting, the ability to work together in harmony even when there is honest disagreement, and personal peace in their lives and joy in all that they do. I pray for the agenda set before them today. Please give them an assurance of what would please you and what would benefit all those who live and work here in Gloucester Township. It is in your most blessed name I pray and ask these words. Amen.
Thank you, Deacon. This regular meeting of the Township Council is being held in accordance with the schedule of the meetings of the Township Council established and adopted by the Township Council, which schedule designated the time, date, and place of this meeting. Adequate public notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act. We are using electronic amplifying and recording device in order to obtain a clear and audible record, and request all those wishing to speak be recognized and state your name and address directly into the microphone. The recording device will be solely utilized by the Township Clerk's Office for the preparation of minutes and shall be the official record of the Township Council meetings. Madam Clerk, may I have the roll call, please?
Mr. Mitchell? Here. Mrs. Albright Troxel? Here. Mrs. Grace Love? Yes. Mr. Nash?
Here.
Mrs. Walters? Here. Mrs. Winters? Mr. Mercado?
Present.
Mr. Carlemere?
Here.
Mr. Cardis?
Here.
Chief Harkins?
Here.
Mr. McGill?
Here. Madam Clerk, Mrs. Winters is on vacation this week.
Thank you.
Before we go to the public portion, there is an amendment to Resolution 2406-248. That was inserting a special item of revenue in the budget it indicated that it was for Taylor Avenue. That is incorrect. It's for local recreation improvement grant for the reconditioning and repurposing of courts at Timber Cove Park. So that is for Timber Cove Park for Resolution 248. When we get to the consent agenda, we are Resolution 242, authorizing the treasurer to cancel grant balances. I spoke to the business administrator today, and I'm requesting when we get to the consent agenda if we could have that table. I have some questions that I need answered by the CFO and also our auditor that I wasn't able to get answered before tonight's meeting. So I asked for to table that when we get to the consent agenda. With that, we'll open up the first public portion. This is for agenda items only. Anyone addressing council may speak one time. Once all those wishing to address council have had their turns, they may address council a second time, only if it adds to what was said earlier, not repeating earlier statements. Each speaker is entitled to 3 minutes. There's 15 minutes total for the first public portion. Anyone like to speak? Seeing none, we'll close the first public portion. Ordinance, second reading, there will be a public hearing. Bond ordinance authorizing the completion of various park improvements in the township of Gloucester, county of Camden, New Jersey, appropriating the sum of $69,246. Therefore, authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds or bond anticipation notes of the township of Gloucester, county of Camden, New Jersey, in the aggregate principal amount of up to $69,246, making certain determinations and covenants and authorizing certain related actions in connections with the foregoing. This ordinance is for improvements to Laurel Hill Park and also Woods Edge. We'll now open up the public hearing. Would anyone like to speak on this matter? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker Troxel? Yes. Mrs. Grace Love? Yes. Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters? Mr. Mercado?
Yes. Next is the ordinance of first reading and introduction. There will be a hearing at the second reading. Ordinance 0-24-16, ordinance amending chapter 45 of the Code of the Township of Gloucester, entitled Curfew of the Code Book of the Township of Gloucester, County of Camden, and State of New Jersey. What is highlighted in this ordinance is the responsibilities of parents and guardians, that it should be unlawful for any parent or guardian or any adult person having custody, care, or control of a minor child under the age of 18 knowingly permit that child to loiter, idle, wander, stroll, play, and remain in or about public street, highways, roads, parks, playgrounds, public buildings, places of amusements, entertainment, or places of business conducted for profit within the Township of Gloucester. The first, if that person is found guilty of violating a fine of not less than $100 and not more than $1,000, or up to 90 days of community service at the discretion of the judge. A second offense is a fine of up to $1,000 and or community service of up to 90 days. And if both the juvenile and the juvenile's parents or guardian violates this chapter, they may be required to perform community service together. Chief, is there anything you want to add to that?
Just came from a meeting the mayor and I had, the main goal is to put parental responsibility into our ordinance. It's mimicked after some of the other towns that we researched, Margate, we looked at that and that got a lot of news, and so it's something I think would be a welcome addition for the board for us.
Thank you, Chief. May I have a motion, please? Is there a second? Thank you. On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel? Mrs. Grace Love? Yes. Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters? Yes. Mr. Mercado?
Yes. Now we move to consent agenda. Can I have a motion to table 242 on the consent agenda? That's the authorizing the treasurer to cancel grant balances.
I'll make that motion to table 242.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that'd like to have anything removed from the consent agenda? On 248, we're amending that to reflect timber code. So we have a motion and a second to table 248. On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. President, you said table 242.
I'm sorry, 242. Thank you.
So just to refresh this.
We have a motion and a second to table
Table.
242. Roll call, please.
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel? Yes. Mrs. Grace Love? Yes. Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters? Yes. Mr. Mercado?
Yes. Can I have a motion to accept the amended consent agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel? Yes. Mrs. Grace Love? Yes. Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters? Yes. Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Resolution 250, resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Gloucester, County of Camden, New Jersey, authorizing the issuance and sale of up to $2,857,000 of refunding bond anticipation notes of the Township of Gloucester New Jersey, making certain covenants to maintain the exemption of the interest on said notes from federal income taxation, and authorizing such further actions and making such determinations as they may be necessary or appropriate to effectuate the issuance and sale of the note.
May I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I will second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Drossil? Yes. Mrs. Grace Love?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes. We have a few GTE Gov access emails. Do we have 3, 5? How many?
I have 2.
I'll read what I have here. Okay. From Fred Hill at 25 Stephen Drive, Glendora, New Jersey. When I asked you in the last council meeting if there were any or any plans to turn the Gloucester Township NUA property and the Gloucester Township Ecological Center property into a green acres type protected land, you said there are no plans to turn the Gloucester Township Ecological Center and NUA properties into a green acres. Would you please share on Gloucester Township's public website and all your social media points my email to you and the mayor on June 23rd, 2024 at 8:46 a.m. Sharing the attached Gloucester Township Trail Network Phase 2 Camden County Bicycle Multi-Use Trail Network maps showing the Gloucester Township Ecological Center and Gloucester Township NUA properties surrounding our known active state and federally protected Gloucester Township Bald Eagle's Nest from Lower Landing to the Timber Creek, including all the GTNUA and Gloucester Township Ecological Center properties located there, as they are shown on the map to be transformed into a proposed greenway green acres with brand new multi-use trail that runs through the Gloucester Township NUA and Gloucester Township Ecological Center properties located there, starting at Clements Bridge Road in Glendora and extending past the Black Horse Pike. Again, despite your claims in the last council meeting that council is not aware of the Timber Creek Eagle's Nest on or near the GTNUA and the Gloucester Township Ecological Center properties, and despite your council statement that Gloucester Township does not monitor the Timber Creek Bald Eagle, bear with me, population, is clear now that we know that there is a approved county and Gloucester Township plan to transform the GTNUA and Gloucester Township Ecological Center properties into a green acres greenway multi-use trail land use. Can we stop using the GTNUA properties and Gloucester Township Ecological Center properties to wash and rinse pollutants into the Timber Creek area and begin to act in the best interest of the Gloucester Township residents and the Gloucester Township Bald Eagle's Nest, transferring the Gloucester Township MUA and Gloucester Township ecological properties into the proposed multi-use trail as seen in the Gloucester Township Trail Network. Mr. Hauser, all the e-govs today, so I'm just going to keep reading all of the e-govs and then answer at the end. How does the public gain access to Gloucester Township's 15C property, public property located at Block 1401, Lot 1, and Block 1402, Lot 4? Are you aware it's illegal to direct stormwater runoff from the Gloucester Township Ecological Center's huge piles of grass clippings that contains grass clippings into storm drains, culverts, creeks, and waterways, as clearly stated on page 7 of your summer report newsletter to the community? And are you also aware that the Gloucester Township Ecological Center stormwater runoff from your giant piles of toxic grass clippings flows every time it rains into the Timber Creek and the 6.87 acres of wetlands the Gloucester Township Tax Office says that the Gloucester Township Ecological Center sits on at a block 1402, Lot 3? The GTA Tax Office says that the Gloucester Township Ecological Center sits on a total of 35.91 acres, with 6.87 acres being wetlands. This property dumps its illegal toxic grass clipping stormwater runoff into the Timber Creek and directly into our publicly owned land, Block 1402, Lot 4, which is public property surrounded by the Gloucester Township Ecological Center and the Timber Creek, with the only access to Block 1402, Lot 4, public land, being the Gloucester Township Ecological Center. So how can you run a business at the Gloucester Township Ecological Center collecting tons of grass clippings from 24 local towns called the Gloucester Township Ecological Center and dumping them on block 1402, lot 3 to be washed away and rinsed into stormwater runoff every time it rains? That all runs directly into the Timber Creek wetlands in Gloucester Township public property at block 1402, lot 4, after you already admitted doing this is illegal in your December 23rd Gloucester Township YouTube Dave Mayor video about the Gloucester Township Ecological Center, and in your last 2 Gloucester Township seasonal newsletters for winter and summer on pages 3 and 7. So I guess the real question is the mayor and the Gloucester Township Council going to protect our town's active state and federally protected active bald eagle's nest located at near the GTA MUA property and the Gloucester Township Ecological Center, turning into a protected greenway multi-use trail as it already been approved and planned to be transformed into, or will get you voted out of position as a result of your position that Gloucester Township is not responsible to accept, protect, help, or even keep track of the bald eagle population in Gloucester Township or on Timber Creek, or denying you are all aware that there are protected bald eagles and bald eagles nest at or near the Gloucester Township Ecological Center and Gloucester Township MUA properties. This is from the last meeting.
It was, but he resent it on the 19th.
This is recent.
You already read it
I already read it.
before, but he resent it again on 19.
Is there anything different to it?
No.
Okay, Mr. Hill sent this question at our last meeting and resent it again. I'm not going to respond to that. We provided responses last time. Mr. Hill is alleging that the township's engaging in environmental illegal activities in the operation of a DEP-approved compost site. Representatives of Kingdom County, Hazmat, and the DEP have recently visited all of the area. DEP, has been cited by Mr. Hill, and they have found no violations. Any efforts to protect bald eagles would be initiated and overseen by DEP and not the township. He made some assertions that there is a trail that is going through that area. The GT compost site and property that's currently leased by Mount Construction is presently under agreement of sale with Fratelli Real Estate Holdings. There are no records of an existing bike path coming into contact with the aforementioned properties. There's no planned Green Acres projects involving those parcels. And that's all I had to add to that. We will now open up the second public portion. Anyone wishing to speak, please raise your hand. Each speaker is entitled to 5 minutes. There's 30 minutes total for the second public portion. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Council. Anthony Calabrese, Blackwood.
Good evening.
What I want to talk about tonight, I'm going to address to Mrs. Albright Troxler about some comments that were made last meeting. This is a quote from you. As a former union president, in reference to somebody coming up and speaking about why nobody's come and spoken with the employees about everything that's going on. As a former union president, what I would have done is I would have had the shop steward call and request a meeting to find out what's going on. That's what I would have done. It's not our responsibility. I always took it on as a union, and it's the union's responsibility to find out what's going on and request a meeting with management to find out information, and that's what I suggest they do. So this is a letter from March 28th. This letter is to serve as an official request to a sit-down meeting with you to Director Gabrielle Mascara, who is the new director of the sewer utility. If your schedule allows it, I would like to have a meeting on Monday, April 1st, 2024. Thank you for your time. Granted, March 28th to April 1st, I realize, short time period. Okay. Didn't get a response to that one. This is.
Call and ask her that, when she would be available? for you to
So
meet with
that's,
her?
so with this letter, some sort of response, I mean, wouldn't, if you get a
did
letter,
what was right by sending the letter.
right, wouldn't you, if you get a letter, wouldn't you respond? And then we continue the conversation about the schedule or something like that.
Right.
So I didn't get any type of answer for that one. This is, excuse me, Director Gabrielle Mosquera, April 15th, 2024. The reason for this letter is to request a meeting with you. This is my second attempt at trying to schedule a meeting with you. I would appreciate a response. Thank you for your time. I had Marlene Harinio, who is the administrative secretary of the sewer utility. She came to me and asked if I can put into a letter the topics I would like to discuss.
That's fine.
So the next one, I'm not going to read all of them because not all of them pertain to this situation. I'll just read the end.
So you have been doing what I suggested, but you're at a point where you haven't had a meeting yet?
Correct.
The end result?
Correct.
Okay. And what was the reason that she couldn't have the meeting? Was it time constraints?
So I have a written response, which
Okay.
doesn't really help the situation at all.
Oh.
The final topic I would like to discuss, did you know when you accepted the role as the director of the township intended to sell, and why didn't you or anyone else come to speak with us here on the potential sale? We've been kept in the dark since day one, and now we've been left with this information without any idea of what's to come. Sorry. We have several employees here with families to take care of, and they use this job to take care of them. The least that should have occurred was someone speaking to us to discuss what could happen if this sale goes through. Are there any intentions on moving the current employees to other departments, and do they have plans of protecting employees through the sale should it occur? As well as if the sale of the sewer department does not go through, what are the plans moving forward? You might not have the answers for the sales related questions, but someone should come here and explain the thought process behind this to help ease the minds of the hardworking employees of the sewer department. The response to that topic was from Director Mosquera. Finally, you inquired about my knowledge as director of the potential sale. I am not involved with the exploration of the potential sale of the sewer utility system. That's all I got to answer that. Was it not this council that unanimously voted to begin the process to listen to bids to sell the sewer system?
And usually as a shop steward, you go up the steps. That's what I always recommended, and that's what I did when I was a shop steward. I went to my boss, and then the boss went to somebody else. And I can't explain why you're not having responses. I can't explain that.
So how come, oh, I'm sorry.
But I would hope that, Gabby Mosquera would eventually respond to you in some of those questions that you had in a way, just to give you, even if she doesn't have the answers, to give you some general knowledge of, so you can take it back to your membership.
Okay. So how come you don't feel it's the council's responsibility to come talk to us, since you were all the ones that unanimously voted yes for this? Because this causes effects to everybody that works at the MUA.
Right.
And it's just at a point now, we're over a year, maybe not over a year, but coming up to it. And it's been since day one in the dark. And it's at this point, there has to be some sort of plan, whether the sale goes through or not. You had to have the thought of what would happen if the sale goes through and if the sale doesn't go through. Because if you make a move like this, it doesn't make sense not to think about the possibilities of what could happen, regardless of when the vote is, what happens with that vote. I understand it's a vote, but you have to know whether or not if it goes through, this is what we're going to do. If it doesn't go through, that's what we're going to do.
Okay.
And I see your point. I also see your point that it would be like you coming now to the president of something and saying, well, I want to sit down and talk to you. Then you really should go through the steps. But you have gone through the steps as far as I can see from the conversation that you're giving me now with the letters that you've sent and the responses that you have received. So at this point, I really don't know what to tell you, because someone should have responded to you. Just personally, someone needs to respond And maybe not give you details, because maybe all the details are very fluid at this point. And you don't want to tell somebody something that's not necessarily going to happen, because you don't want to say, well, you said that. You gotta say what you know and not what you might be. I would never say what might be, because I don't know whether it will be or not.
And I understand that.
And that's the point I'm trying to make about the people up here. We don't know whether it's gonna be or not, so I don't know if anybody here can answer your questions like that. The only thing we can do is respond to some of the questions that you had there. I feel that you deserve a response to some of those questions.
Thank you.
Mr. Calabrese, thank you. I'm sorry your time is up. If we have more time, you can come back up again. Thank you, Mr. Osborne. Is there anyone else? Yes. Yes.
Denise Coyne, Choose Landing. It would be helpful if you called my name, because there's people sitting behind me. I don't know if you're speaking to them or speaking to me. So that's why I'm not sure when you say yes, who you mean.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. After the last meeting, I had questions regarding our trash contractor. And I was under the impression that our trash contractor was Interstate Waste Services. And so I went and did some research, and the reason I believed it was Interstate Waste Services is because that's what it says on the township website. And it says, starting February 2021, Gloucester Township will be switching to a new waste disposal company, Interstate Waste Services. So that was as of February 2021. And then I went and found the resolution, which gave the contract to Central Jersey Waste and Recycling that was approved January 25th, 2021. So I'm wondering why the resolution was approved for Central Jersey Waste and Recycling, but it was posted on the township's website saying that our trash contractor was Interstate Waste Services.
They share the same address, Ms. Coyne. I believe they are the same company. And on our bill list, the check goes to Interstate. Mr. Cars, you want to add anything to that?
No, you're correct. My recollection is it went from Solterra to Central Jersey to Interstate.
Interstate Waste Services acquired Solterra in May 2022, well after these documents.
At some point, it was Central Jersey.
Okay, well, it still doesn't answer why the resolution says it's Central Jersey, but it's put on the website as Interstate Waste Services.
It is Interstate that we send a check to. Is there a problem with your trash pickup?
No, I'm
Okay.
just wondering why the documents don't match and why there's a discrepancy and why, it doesn't say that our contract is with Central Jersey on the township's website when that's what the resolution says.
Mr. Carmer, if you could look into that.
The structure of the corporation, Central Jersey is incorporated.
They're the same company and trash is still being picked up and they're still receiving our check. Is there anything else you want to add to that?
Yes,
Okay.
the other thing I wanted to add was when we gave the contract to Central Jersey, we increased the amount, the bid amount from $19,382,488 to $20,973,988, which is a difference of roughly 1.6 million. Could somebody tell me why that occurred?
Mr. Carter, can you recall that process when we went through the bid process?
No, I don't know what she's referring to.
Can you provide that information to Ms. Coyne before the next meeting?
I can look into it.
Thank you very much. We'll get that information for you, Ms. Coyne.
It's resolution 21:01046. And, is that it? Oh, also the lease for the commercial property says Central Jersey Waste and Recycling, doesn't mention IBS or Solterra. So I just think it's confusing, and I think that the documents and the website should match each other. Because then if I was a sitting council member and I got a document later on that had to do with interstate waste services and the resolutions are with Central Jersey, I might not think the two are connected.
Or they could be doing business as interstate, or
Well, then
vice versa.
It should say that, don't you think?
Well, we'll have Mr. Carmer take a look at it. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Coyne. Mr. Polidoro? Yes. Yes.
Good evening, Council. Ray Polidor from the Historic Village of Ariel.
Good evening.
As we've had in previous discussions regarding how everything all went down at the MUA, we had inquired regarding conversations or dialogue between the Comptroller's Office and the Township. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you said you couldn't speak on that because of attorney-client privilege. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Now, I'm going to ask a question regarding that attorney-client privilege. And that is there any litigation going on between the township and the Comptroller's Office?
Mr. Carmer, can you answer that?
Yeah, I'm not sure with the comptroller's office. I can't answer.
Some of the reasons that you hire an attorney would be for protection, for documents, for inquiries, litigation. I'm just asking if we can rule out that litigation is going on between the Comptroller's Office and my township.
There's none to my knowledge.
Okay, so it's a basic dialogue back and forth with the Comptroller's Office and our township regarding moving forward on the bid and or sale at this point. And yet you're moving forward with putting out the bids. Would it be safe to conclude that that dialogue between the Comptroller's Office and my township is completed?
They had permitted the township to move forward with putting out the request for bids. I have not seen anything since that time period. Ms. Carter, do you have anything else?
No, they
Okay.
permitted us again to move forward. They are reviewing all aspects of the bid process, all documents. We respond through our attorney to any questions that they have.
Okay, so if I can move further, let me start with what is the name of the attorney and law firm that is representing us with regards to the Comptroller's Office?
Hawkins, Delafield, Woods.
A little louder, please.
Hawkins, Delafield, Woods.
Okay.
Megan Sartor is the attorney.
Okay. Now, are they also representing the township in guidance or legal regarding the bidding also? Is that the same firm?
That's correct.
Okay. To the best of your knowledge, does this law firm have any history or current history of donating to any political PACs and or campaigns within the boundaries of Camden County or Gloucester Township?
I'm not aware of Camden County, and they have not provided anything to the local party. That's my belief.
Okay. I'd like to
I'm
thank
sure you looked that up already, but
You think
I know they didn't give you anything.
Do you think I would come up here and ask questions I already know the answer to?
Yes, so go ahead.
That's possible. Mr. Mercado, I want to thank you for turning up the volume on the microphone.
No, that is the clerk, that she has this.
Nothing ceases to amaze me about Nancy. There's nothing that she
Absolutely.
doesn't do that's not
The
wonderful.
best.
But thank you for turning up the volume. We even heard Mr. Collier and Mr. Cardis tonight. That's how magnificent that was. Thank you.
Ms. Paris.
I haven't been here because my mother's not well, but
I'm
I've
sorry to
been
hear that.
following
Can we have your name and your address, please?
Annie Paris and Milford Apartments. I'm going to start out with the Green Acres of the lake water over there. It's owned by Vernon Hill, and it's polluted. And if you can get in touch with Vernon Hill, maybe he could save the ducks and the geese from getting run over by the drug dealers and everybody that lives in there. That is not taken care of by the police department because it's been 10 years that I've been following them. And the homes that are buying now, the drug dealers, on 9 Millbridge Road, and a couple other homes that are in our township. Now, when you blame and you change that document about blaming the parents and stuff and taking them under consideration, a lot of parents today can't afford to have one job and both parents have to work. And I know that for a fact because I had to raise 3 children by myself. And my kids didn't do drugs or anything. And my kids grew up and they're very well. Everything's great for them. But I had a son that got killed and decapitated by a drunk and a drug person that was taking drugs back in 2001 at 19. So, I mean, to blame these kids and take them for disorderly conduct and then slap them on the wrist and let them go, maybe the way you're trying to do this with smash rooms, I mean, when I read about that, you're going to put a smash room business in this township where they go in with bats and crowbars and break glass and break things for $30 and $50. What child can afford that? I mean, instead of taking them for counseling or taking them to play sports or putting them into a sports program and a camp, what kind of craziness? Do you know that the police in this township that I talk to say they don't even know about the heroin gas stations that are here? And the Indian gas station stores sell heroin gas station. Okay, my nephew who goes to Highland told me about the gas station heroin that is sold, and they give it to the kids that are underage, anywhere from 13 to 17. So my thing is, why isn't this stopped? Why isn't after 10 years that I did undercover free for Gloucester Township with Corporal McLaughlin, and I know every single apartment, every single house, don't I, Chief Harkins? Because I did it free, and they're still doing it. And I'm still living here 10 years later, which I'm leaving after this year. I'm going to be out of this township. I'm out of the state, actually. So you won't have to listen to me anymore. But I don't understand why drug dealers are still selling drugs, hardcore drugs, and synthetic drugs, like Flax X, which is bath salts, which you can lace in marijuana. Okay. Also the Exaline, which is a horse tranquilizer. And that's why these kids are going so crazy. They're acting like zombies and they're acting up at your carnivals and everything else. You blame these kids because there's no parenting, because parents have to work because everything's so expensive anymore. Okay. And then they go to these things and act up with their peers. All right. So maybe they have to have some type of somebody out there to help these kids in the school systems. And you pay for all these other things. You pay for them to go through metal detectors here. Why don't you pay for metal detectors at the school systems when the school starts up next year? Because they carry in knives. They knife other children. And everything that I'm telling you, I've been witness to. Okay. And so has my sister-in-law. Her daughter was actually beat up at the high school. So there's fights up there all the time. How come that's not out in the public? Anyway, that's number one. Who passed the marijuana dispensary at the TD Bank across from the apartments? Within like 100 feet. When was that passed? It just opened.
I don't have a time period of when that passed.
But I was never at the meetings. I've looked back at the meetings. Who passed it?
I can get you that. No.
Thank you. I want that one. Also, I need the solar panels up top of the, I want the year and who passed the solar panels on the top of the GEMS landfill.
Ms. Parrish, we discussed that before.
No. I want to know who did that. Also,
The state.
did they? I called.
Yes.
I'm in touch with the EPA and the DEP, and they said they did not do it.
Oh, do you have a contact person?
Yes, I do. And I just want an answer from you.
Can you provide that to me, that contact person?
No, I want you to answer me. I have a contact person.
No. I will let you provide me that.
I'll bring it to the next meeting because I'm going to call them again and tell them that you're saying mistake.
Yes, thank you.
Also, the CCMUA
Yes.
told me that they have not checked the waters over there and the levels and the poisons that are over at the GEMS landfill, that MUA, who have worked for you guys for 30 years, would do it. And the state hasn't checked it for 5 years. So you're getting rid of good people that do their jobs and would do a better job than the mayor and American Water. That's why you're trying to bid it out.
Ms.
And so
Parrish.
don't kid any of these guys that are working. And my time is up. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Parrish. Is there anyone else? Seeing none, we'll close the second public portion. Polling of directors.
Mr. Parlamere?
Nothing to report.
Mr. Curtis?
Nothing to report.
Chief Harkins?
Nothing to report.
Mr. McGill?
Thank you.
Mr. Mignon?
I just want to say good luck to all the little leagues, boys and girls who are going out for quest to win a championship and hopefully somebody from Gloucester Township get the votes. Otherwise, have a great night, be safe, stay cool.
Mrs. Albright Troxel?
Yes, I was happy to, that we passed this resolution. as far as the curfew is concerned, because a lot of children don't have responsible parents in homes. Whether they're working full time or not, that doesn't matter. I mean, I was a single parent raising a son, and I never had these problems, and it's because I had a lot of my son had respect for me, and I had respect for him. And I see a lot of respect just going out the window in society today. So I was happy to pass this, mainly because it's going to help our township police monitor situations. And there will be consequences to these actions when they're negative. And I think that's really important. We can't just go around abusing the system and not expecting something in return in a negative way. So hopefully this will help our township not have any more problems as far as groups of kids getting together. Thank you.
This is Grace Love. I want to thank Chief Harkins, the Juneteenth committee, and everyone that participated in Juneteenth celebration. It was the first one. It was an amazing time. We all had a good time. Thank you, Tara and Orlando, for participating and just walking around, meeting with the vendors and talking to the community members. It was a fantastic time, and I just really adore our community, and I look forward to all the summer activities and events coming. Everyone have a great night and stay safe.
Mr. Nash?
Have a great night.
Mrs. Walters?
I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I want to thank all the workers for Juneteenth, police, public works, everybody coming out to help. And last weekend, we had the last Field of Dreams game, so I want to thank everyone for their participation and their help with that. The kids really enjoyed it. You could see on their faces, and it was great to see them. We even had some kids, a child from out of our township, who just thoroughly enjoyed it, and his family enjoyed watching him too. So I want to thank everybody and have a good week.
Mr. Mercado?
I want to thank everyone for coming out this evening. Congratulations to all the graduates in our town through the Black Horse Pike Regional School District and also Gloucester Township Public Schools. Just to echo Tara's comments about Field of Dreams, he was brought up from the minor leagues, Barrington, and now he's playing over here. So, but I want to thank Mr. Mignon, who has been the chairman of Field of Dreams since day one, and every Saturday he's out there either pitching or coaching for the last 7 to 8 years. So thank you very much for what you do there. To the Juneteenth committee, fantastic, great first year event. To the committee, they honored Mr. Bobby Harris, who is the founder of Dreams of Tomorrow. He passed away earlier this year. And Carolyn, thank you for serving as MC that day. It was hot, but folks were happy there. It was a good time. And I want to wish everyone a happy 4th of July. With that, I entertain a motion to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Have a good evening, everyone.